What is up, y'all? It's time for another 2-Minute Tuesday. I got a lot of questions last week about my legato technique. I do a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs. I started doing that because my right hand is really inefficient. I don't pick fast. I think I pick fairly cleanly, but I just can't. I can't tremolo pick. I definitely can't pick as fast as my left hand will go. So the technique that I came up with actually stems from, there was a Joe Satriani song called Flying in a Blue Dream, and he did this legato lick that was just, you know, makes you make that face. So I worked on it and worked on it and worked on it. And here's what I did to increase my dexterity with my legato phrasing. I started with hammer-ons. And I picked the first note on each string. Then I turned that pattern into hammer-ons and pull-offs. And I noticed that I had a weak point or a weak area in that playing, and that was on the hammer-on on the second string, or the string below the first one. So what I started to do was I'd pick the first note of the phrase, and then I would pick the first note on the ascending run on the second string. If I tried to do that without picking, it would sound like this. I always have to pick the first note though. And it doesn't sound bad, but you can hear that note is missing. So I want it to sound somewhat fluid, so I pick it. And I do that in all my ascending runs. Descending, I don't really have an issue with. So for this lick, I pick the first note for the ascending, and then everything else is descending. Okay, so here's how I practice this. And just sitting around, the amp doesn't have to be on, it can just be you and your guitar. For me, there are 4 patterns that I think about with this legato technique, and I'm going to play them really slowly. So pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3, and pattern 4. And if I'm staying in major or minor, those are the only shapes that I'm going to run across on the guitar neck unless I go out of key or start into some chromaticism. So what you'd want to do is practice those 4 runs, probably higher up on the neck, and as your fingers get accustomed to it, you can move further where you've got more of a stretch. Let's use this as our picking pattern for those techniques. As you get used to that, you can speed it up. I would highly recommend using a metronome. Once you've got those 4 shapes down pat and your fingers are used to those, then you can run them across any scale that you want to use. Almost everything that I do, and this is another Paul Gilbert thing, is 3 notes per string. So my major shape, so A major, 3 notes per string all the way across. A minor, and that technique, the legato technique, you can run across any of those shapes. All right, well that's it for this week's 2-Week Tuesday. See you guys next week.